Hello there. How are you doing? Hope you're all doing great. Welcome to an episode of My English Podcasts. My name is Parham, and we are going to learn English from any single material that is relatable to English, like films, actors, of course their speeches, books, quotes, and so on. And hopefully they could help you with English. So without further ado, let's dive into this episode. So, as we all know, watching films is one of the ways of improving our English. There's no doubt. And this episode is dedicated to the film Oppenheimer that was released in 2023. I have selected some particular parts of the film and we'll be talking about the grammatical points, the expressions, the vocabulary they use during the conversation. So, before starting out, let's first talk about the film itself. The writer and the director of the film is Christopher Nolan, a great director, a great writer, and what's so interesting about a film is that it could inspire you a lot. Even if you're not into physics, after watching it for the first and second time, it could make you even more and more interested. And as long as you didn't learn enough about something relatable to physics, you can go and figure it out yourself. So it could be very, very inspiring and influential. So, let's start with the first scene. Let's go watch it together. Robert Oppenheimer came to Niels Bohr after the lecture that Niels Bohr gave in Cambridge. Oppenheimer said, "I heard you give the same lecture." And Niels Bohr said, sort of like, why did you ask the same question? Well, Oppenheimer said, hadn't liked your answer. So now we're going to be talking about the differences between I didn't like your answer and I hadn't liked your answer. So we're going to see why Oppenheimer said hadn't liked your answer. He used past perfect. So didn't like your answer is simple past. Didn't like your answer. So when we use simple past, we're talking about a completed action in the past. So it was all over. And if Oppenheimer used I didn't like your answer, it was talking about just I didn't like it. The focus is on just the fact that the lecture, the answer you gave to my question, wasn't what I was expecting. This is the concept of I didn't like your answer. So now when it comes to I hadn't liked your answer, the past perfect, we're talking about the previous lecture that Niels Bohr gave. And Oppenheimer asked a question and the answer wasn't what Oppenheimer was looking for. So that's why he said, I hadn't liked your answer. It was referring to the time, the previous time, not just the fact that it wasn't desirable. Do you know what I mean? Because past perfect is used when you're talking about something that happened in the past before a specific time. So Niels Bohr gave a lecture and he had already just given a lecture before and Oppenheimer was talking about that one, not this one. So that's why he used past perfect. And Niels Bohr, following that, asked, did you like it better yesterday? So what's the difference between did you like it more and did you like it better yesterday? Because many people think that he could have said, did you like it more? Instead of, did you like it better? So when we say, did you like it more, it means that you liked the previous one and you're wondering if he liked it more. But Oppenheimer said that I hadn't liked your answer the previous time. So that's why Niels Bohr said, did you like it better yesterday? And in addition to these grammatical points, there was a sentence that Niels Bohr used, and that was, you can't lift a stone without being ready for the snake that's revealed. What he meant by saying it was that even though you're able to do something, but you may not be well aware of the potential dangers that might follow. It was a very, very impressive and interesting sentence that Niels Bohr brought up while talking to J. Robert Oppenheimer. So, this is the story of the first scene I selected for this episode, and now let's go for the next episode, which is about um, Oppenheimer after giving a lecture in Dutch. It was really interesting. So we're actually dealing with a brilliant guy because he learned Dutch in 6 weeks to give a lecture on quantum mechanics. And it was very, very surprising for me at least. So after that, when it was done, he was on the train and he met a friend of his named Robbie, and they were talking about this issue, the lecture he gave on in Dutch. So let's go watch it. The first point I want to talk to you about was the phrase learn enough of something. Because Robbie said he learned enough of Dutch in 6 weeks to give a lecture on quantum mechanics. So learn enough of something is a very useful structure that you all could use when you're talking to someone about almost anything. For example, we can say I learned enough of Spanish before migrating to Spain. Or, for example, I plan to learn enough of programming before I go to university. This is the application of learn enough of something. And apart from that, Oppenheimer used something when Robbie said, you never learned Yiddish while practicing Dutch. And Oppenheimer said, he used an expression, they don't speak it much, my side of the park. So it was really interesting, it is not used everywhere, in any single English speaking country, and this sort of expression is particularly for New York. People who live in New York might often use this. So it refers to the area and region that Oppenheimer was living in. The third one is one of my favorite scenes of the film, and I was inspired by it. I was impressed by it whenever I watched it. So let's go and watch it together. So it was actually a scene in which Cillian Murphy as J. Robert Oppenheimer and Matt Damon as Colonel Groves was, they were having a conversation about the, the Manhattan Project. So one thing that was, very useful was the words that Colonel Groves used to describe Oppenheimer. He said, "You're a dilettante, a womanizer, a suspected communist." So dilettante is something very sort of weird. Dilettante used when you're talking about someone who's seemingly interested in something, an area of art and something, but you have no knowledge about it. So this is the concept of dilettante. And womanizer, it's quite clear. So when you frequently engage in different sexual relationships with multiple women. So these two words were really interesting, and Colonel Groves used to describe J. Robert Oppenheimer. So after all, Oppenheimer said, "Nothing good? No, not even it's brilliant." So what it meant by it was, didn't you hear anything good about me? Like, we're brilliant. We scientists are brilliant. And Matt Damon as Colonel Groves said, brilliance is taken for granted. So taken for granted, or take something for granted, is a very adaptable phrase, which means that something is, quite clear, without even thinking about it. It's already taken into account and considered without even, even thinking about it. So, what it meant was, um, all people consider scientists as brilliant already without even, thinking about it. So, it was a very interesting phrase you could use in your everyday conversations. And let's go for the next one, which is also the continue of the previous scene, but I separate these two to just discuss them separately. So let's go for it. In this one thing I want to talk to you about was the thing I want to talk to you about is something like you know um, cost us the race. Oppenheimer said, "Poor security may cost us the race, inefficiency will." So what it meant was, poor security may lead to failure. So instead of failure or failing at doing something, you can say it cost us the race. And another thing was actually about the thing that we hear, putting our heads together. And Oppenheimer said all minds have to see the whole task to contribute efficiently. And then poor security may cost us the race, inefficiency will. So it was another um, sentence used by Oppenheimer, which means that we need to put our heads together and everybody needs to just take part in it and think about it to contribute efficiently, to be more efficient. Poor security would be one thing that may make us fail at doing what we want, but security will make us fail. So these were the scenes I selected from Oppenheimer film, of course, just the beginning. And there are a lot more I want to share with you about the film, and there is still a lot more we can learn from it. So let me know what you think about the film, and let me know what if you've already watched it, how many times you watched it, and if you liked it, I want to go for part 2 of Learn English with Oppenheimer. Hope you all enjoyed it. Be sure not to forget to like, subscribe to my channel, because it keeps me motivated. Hope you all have a great day. Bye for now.